At the very top of our planet, wrapped around the North Pole, there is an entire ocean that spends much of the year frozen solid. It is a world of ice and snow, of endless summer days and long, dark winters, and of a cold so extreme that it would kill an unprotected human within minutes. And yet, against all odds, it teems with life. This is a place where the largest land predator on Earth roams across a frozen sea in search of its prey, where whales carry a single spiraling tusk like the horn of a unicorn, and others live for more than 200 years, where a small white fox survives temperatures that would freeze almost anything solid, and where a single bird crosses the entire planet from one pole to the other every year of its life. It is an ocean ringed by land, crowned by ice, and shaped by the most extreme seasons anywhere on the globe. It is warming faster than almost any other place on Earth, and the changes unfolding here will be felt across the entire world. It is home to some of the most remarkable and hardy animals ever to have lived. And it has a name: the Arctic. If you enjoy this journey with us, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support gives us the motivation to keep creating quality content for you. Leave a comment below and tell us what you thought of the video. We would love to discuss it together. Let's begin. To understand the animals of the Arctic, you first have to understand something surprising about the place itself. Unlike the great southern wilderness of Antarctica, which is a frozen continent surrounded by ocean, the Arctic is almost the opposite. It is an ocean surrounded by land. And that single fact shapes everything about life here. At the heart of the Arctic lies the Arctic Ocean, and for much of the year its surface is locked beneath a vast sheet of floating sea ice. This ice is not solid ground. It forms, drifts, cracks, and melts with the seasons, and it is the very foundation on which nearly all Arctic life depends. Ringing this frozen ocean are the northern edges of the continents, a band of treeless land known as the Tundra. And then, of course, there is the cold. Winter temperatures can plunge far below -40 degrees, and the wind makes it colder still. Every animal that lives here must be built to survive this, through thick fur, deep blubber, or behavior finely tuned to the seasons. It is a world divided into a few great realms: the frozen sea ice, the open Arctic waters, the tundra and land at the ocean's edge, and the vast skies above. We will journey through all of them, but we begin with the thing that makes the entire Arctic possible: the ice itself. Before we meet the animals, we have to understand the single most important feature of this entire region, the thing that everything else depends upon. It is not the land, and it is not the open water. It is the sea ice. Each autumn, as the temperatures fall, the surface of the Arctic Ocean begins to freeze. Seawater turns to ice at just below 0 degrees, and as winter takes hold, that ice spreads out across millions of square kilometers until much of the ocean is covered by a vast floating crust. Some of it is thin and new, and some, in places, has survived for years, thickening into rugged ridges and plains. This frozen skin over the sea is the stage on which the drama of Arctic life plays out. There is one animal that rules the frozen ocean above all others, a hunter so perfectly suited to this world of ice that it is found nowhere else on Earth. It is the largest land carnivore on the planet and the undisputed master of the Arctic. This is the polar bear. A large male polar bear can weigh over 600 kilograms and, standing on its hind legs, tower more than 3 meters tall. Everything about it is built for life in the cold. Beneath its fur lies a thick layer of blubber for insulation, and its coat is a marvel of engineering. Although it appears white, each hair is in fact hollow and translucent, scattering light to look white against the snow, while the skin beneath is black, helping to soak up the warmth of the sun. Its greatest weapon is its nose. A polar bear's sense of smell is extraordinary, able to detect a seal on the ice, or even hidden in its den beneath the snow, from well over a kilometre away. And the seal is its main prey. The bear's favoured technique is patience itself. It will wait utterly still, beside a hole in the ice where a seal must come up to breathe, sometimes for hours, before striking with astonishing speed and power the instant its prey appears. In the depths of winter, a pregnant female digs a den in the snow, and there, in the freezing dark, she gives birth to tiny, helpless cubs, each weighing less than a kilogram. She nurses them in the shelter of the den until spring, when she leads them out onto the ice to learn the difficult art of survival. When it spots a seal basking on the open ice, the polar bear switches from patience to stealth. It creeps forward, flattened against the surface, freezing every time the seal lifts its head, sometimes slipping silently into the water to close the final distance unseen, until it erupts from the sea or the snow in a thundering charge. Its enormous forepaws and dagger-like claws can end a hunt in a single blow. Yet even for the master of the ice, most hunts fail, and the seal escapes into the black water below, for survival here is just as hard for the hunter as for the hunted. But the polar bear's entire way of life depends on the sea ice, for without it, the bear cannot reach its prey. And as that ice melts and retreats, the great hunter of the Arctic faces an uncertain future, forced to swim ever further and to go longer and longer between meals. Powerful, patient, and perfectly adapted, the polar bear is the living symbol of the frozen north and of everything that is now at stake there. The polar bear could not survive without the animal we meet next, for it is the single most important prey in the entire Arctic. Small, watchful, and perfectly adapted to a life spent largely beneath the ice, it is the foundation on which the great predators depend. This is the ringed seal. The ringed seal is the smallest and most common of the Arctic seals, weighing only around 50 to 70 kilograms, and it takes its name from the pale, ring-shaped markings scattered across its dark coat. It is superbly suited to a life among the ice, and unlike many seals, it can survive far out on the frozen ocean, even where the ice is thick and unbroken. Its secret is the breathing hole. Using the strong, sharp claws on its front flippers, the ringed seal scrapes and maintains a series of holes through the ice, keeping them open all winter so that it can surface to breathe even when the sea is sealed beneath a solid crust. This ability lets it live in places no other seal can reach, but it also makes it vulnerable, for those same holes are exactly where the polar bear waits. For the ringed seal, every single breath is a gamble. Each time it rises to a hole in the ice, it may find a polar bear crouched and waiting above, or an Arctic fox digging down toward its pup's hidden snow lair. Survival comes down to caution and speed, and the seal often surfaces just far enough to snatch a lungful of air before dropping away into the safety of the depths. It is a life lived one careful breath at a time, hunted from above at the very moment it is most exposed. To protect its young, the ringed seal does something remarkable. The female digs out a hidden lair in the snow above her breathing hole, a small cave on top of the ice, and it is here that she gives birth to her pup. Sheltered from the biting wind and hidden from predators, the pup spends its first weeks in this snow den, safe from the bears and foxes that would hunt it, though not always undetected. Quiet and unassuming, it is nonetheless one of the most important animals in the Arctic, the vital link that connects the tiny life of the frozen sea to the great hunters that rule the ice above. Hauled out on the ice in great, crowded, noisy herds is one of the most unmistakable animals in the Arctic. Enormous, blubbery, and armed with a pair of great ivory tusks, it is a giant of the frozen coasts. This is the walrus. The walrus is a massive marine mammal, and a large male can weigh over 1,500 kilograms, its body wrapped in thick folds of blubber that insulate it against the freezing water. Its most famous features, of course, are its tusks, which are enormously elongated canine teeth that grow throughout its life and can reach a meter in length in the largest animals. Both males and females carry them. Those tusks are tools of many uses. The walrus uses them to haul its enormous bulk out of the water and up onto the ice, a behavior that earned it a scientific name meaning tooth walker. It uses them to break open breathing holes in the ice, and the males use them to display their dominance and to fight one another for status and mates. The larger the tusks, the higher the animal's rank in the herd. Battles between rival bulls can be savage. Two great males will rear up out of the water and drive their tusks at one another's necks and shoulders. And though their hides are thick and heavily armored for exactly this purpose, the clashes still draw blood and leave old bulls scarred from a lifetime of fighting. Nor is the walrus easy prey. Cornered by a polar bear or a pod of orcas, it will turn and fight, and a single well-aimed thrust of those metre-long tusks can wound or even kill an attacking bear. Walruses are intensely social animals, gathering to rest in huge, tightly packed herds on ice floes and beaches, often lying draped across one another in great heaving piles. Within these crowds, mothers are devoted to their calves, which stay with them for 2 years or more. Enormous, tusked, and endlessly sociable, the walrus is one of the great characters of the Arctic coasts. Sharing those same cold waters and often travelling in large sociable groups is one of the most distinctive and charming whales in the world. Pure white, endlessly vocal, and unusually expressive, it has earned some memorable nicknames. This is the beluga. The beluga is a small whale, easily recognized by its brilliant white color and its rounded, bulbous forehead. The beluga's most famous nickname is the canary of the sea, and it is well earned. Belugas are among the most vocal of all whales, producing an extraordinary range of clicks, whistles, chirps, and squeals to communicate with one another and to navigate. This rich language of sound is so varied and so loud that early sailors could hear it through the hulls of their ships. Belugas hunt as a team, herding schools of fish into the shallows and taking turns to feed, guided by their endless chatter. But their need to breathe can turn deadly. When shifting winds slam the ice shut over open water, a group of belugas can find itself trapped, forced to crowd around a single shrinking hole simply to breathe. And it is there that the polar bears gather, waiting at the edge to haul the exhausted whales out one by one. Once again, the hunter's patience decides who lives and who dies. Belugas are highly social, living in pods and gathering at certain times of year in the hundreds or even thousands in shallow coastal waters and river mouths where they molt their skin and raise their young. Sociable, talkative, and unmistakable, the beluga is one of the most beloved animals of the Arctic seas. Cruising slowly through the frozen seas is a true giant, an animal so long-lived that some individuals swimming today may have been born before the modern world even began. It is a creature of records and one of the most remarkable whales on Earth. This is the bowhead whale. The bowhead is an enormous whale, reaching lengths of over 18 meters and weighing as much as 100 tons. It spends its entire life in the Arctic, never migrating to warmer waters. And to survive there, it is wrapped in the thickest layer of blubber of any animal on the planet, in places over 1/2 meter deep, insulating it against the freezing cold. Its most striking feature is its huge, powerfully arched skull, which makes up 1/3 of its body. This gives the whale its name, and it serves a vital purpose. The bowhead uses that massive bony head to break up through the sea ice from below, punching through crusts said to be tens of centimeters thick to create the openings it needs to breathe. That same command of the ice is also the bowhead's shield. Its one great enemy is the orca, and when a pod attacks, the bowhead flees not toward the open sea, but into the thickest, most broken ice it can find, where the killer's tall fins and need for open water leave them at a disadvantage. Many older bowheads carry the long rake marks of orca teeth across their skin, the scars of attacks they survived only by retreating deep into the frozen maze. But the most astonishing thing about the bowhead is its lifespan. It is now believed to be the longest living mammal on Earth, with some individuals estimated to live for more than 200 years. Ancient stone harpoon tips have even been found embedded in living whales, evidence that they had survived hunts from a century or more before. Immense, ancient, and perfectly adapted to a life among the ice. The bowhead whale is one of the great wonders of the Arctic. As the Arctic changes, a powerful new hunter is arriving in its waters in growing numbers, a predator that fears nothing and that is reshaping life across the frozen ocean. It is the ocean's apex predator, and its expanding presence here is one of the great stories of the modern Arctic. This is the orca. The orca, often called the killer whale, is the largest member of the dolphin family, with males reaching 9 meters in length. Intelligent, powerful, and highly social, it hunts in tight family groups and is capable of taking down almost any animal in the sea, from fish and seals to the largest whales on Earth. In the Arctic, its favored prey includes seals, narwhals, and belugas. For a long time, the orca was a rare visitor to the high Arctic, and the reason was simple: the sea ice. Orcas have tall dorsal fins, and thick, unbroken ice makes it difficult and dangerous for them to move and surface freely. The ice acted as a barrier, a frozen wall that kept them largely out of the far north and gave the animals that lived there a measure of safety. But as the climate warms and the sea ice retreats, that barrier is breaking down. With more open water and for longer each year, orcas are now able to push deeper into Arctic waters than ever before, and they are staying longer. For the seals, narwhals, and belugas of the region, this means a formidable new predator has entered their world, one they have not evolved alongside. And when the orcas hunt, it is a masterpiece of teamwork. The pod moves as one, cutting off every escape route and driving their prey away from the safety of the ice and out into open water, where there is nowhere left to hide. Working together, they can separate a young whale from its mother and hold it beneath the surface until it can no longer breathe. Few hunts in all of nature are as coordinated or as impossible to escape. The arrival of the orca in the high Arctic is a powerful example of how a changing climate can ripple through an entire ecosystem in unexpected ways. Intelligent, unstoppable and increasingly present. The orca is a sign of just how quickly the frozen north is being transformed. Hunting those lemmings across the frozen tundra is one of the toughest small animals on the entire planet, a little predator that can withstand cold so extreme it defies belief. Beautiful, resourceful, and superbly insulated, it thrives where almost nothing else can. This is the Arctic fox. The Arctic fox is a small canid, weighing only 3 to 5 kilograms, but it possesses the finest insulation of any mammal on Earth. Its thick, dense fur allows it to survive temperatures below -50 degrees without even beginning to shiver. Its body is beautifully shaped to conserve heat, with a compact, rounded form, short legs, a small muzzle and small, rounded ears, all of which reduce the surface area from which precious warmth can escape. Even the soles of its feet are covered in fur. The Arctic fox is above all a hunter of lemmings, and its fortunes rise and fall with theirs. In a good year, it can raise a very large litter of pups, and to feed them, the fox listens for the lemmings moving beneath the snow, then leaps high into the air and dives headfirst through the surface to pin its hidden prey. Out on the sea ice, the fox plays a far more dangerous game. It shadows the great polar bears at a wary distance, then darts in to snatch scraps from a fresh seal kill the instant the bear turns away, always ready to flee for its life, for the bear will kill it given the chance. It is an existence of bold thefts and narrow escapes, a small hunter gambling everything against the leftovers of a far deadlier one. But the fox is also a resourceful opportunist. Out on the sea ice, it will follow polar bears at a cautious distance, scavenging the scraps left behind after a kill, and it caches surplus food, burying it to see it through leaner times. It is even known to travel astonishing distances across the frozen ocean in search of food. Tough, clever, and exquisitely adapted, the Arctic fox is one of the great survivors of the frozen north. Also, making its home on the open tundra and surviving the same brutal cold is a larger animal built for a life among the snow. Pure white, powerful, and surprisingly fast, it is perfectly camouflaged against the frozen land. This is the Arctic hare. The Arctic hare is a large, sturdy hare weighing 4 to 5 kilograms, and it is superbly adapted to the cold. Its thick white coat provides both warmth and camouflage against the snow, and in the far north, where the land stays white for most of the year, some Arctic hares keep their white coats almost year-round. Like the fox, it has a compact body and short ears, reducing the amount of heat it loses to the freezing air. When it needs to see over the landscape or move at speed, it can rise up and travel on its powerful hind legs alone, bounding along almost like a kangaroo. For a hare, it is remarkably fast, capable of running at speeds up to 60 kilometers an hour to escape the foxes, wolves, and birds of prey that hunt it. When a fox closes in, the hare bursts away in a blur of zigzags, jinking and doubling back to throw off the chase. And if a snowy owl stoops from above, it may rear up and lash out with its powerful hind feet. Among themselves, too, the hares can turn fierce. In the breeding season, rivals rise up on their hind legs and trade rapid blows with their forepaws, boxing in the snow in furious, flurrying bouts. And unusually, Arctic hares sometimes gather in very large groups, occasionally numbering in the hundreds or even thousands, a strange and striking sight on the open tundra, offering many eyes to watch for danger. It feeds on the sparse plants of the tundra, digging down through the snow with its claws to reach the mosses, twigs, and buds buried beneath. Hardy, swift, and beautifully camouflaged, the Arctic hare is one of the toughest residents of the frozen land. Standing against the wind on the frozen tundra, wrapped in a coat that reaches almost to the ground, is a shaggy, powerful beast that looks as though it has stepped straight out of the last ice age. And in a sense it has, for it is one of the few great animals of that ancient world still walking the earth today. This is the muskox. The muskox is a large, heavily built animal weighing up to 400 kilograms, with a broad body, curved horns, and an enormous shaggy coat. Despite its name and its ox-like appearance, it is not closely related to cattle at all, but is in fact a distant relative of sheep and goats. It once roamed alongside the woolly mammoth, and it has survived almost unchanged into the modern age. Its survival in this brutal climate comes down to its extraordinary coat. Beneath the long, coarse outer hair that hangs down its sides lies a layer of incredibly fine, dense underwool known as kiviot. This underwool is one of the warmest natural fibers in the world, many times warmer than sheep's wool, and it allows the muskox to withstand the fiercest Arctic winters and the most savage winds without difficulty. But the muskox's most famous behavior is how it defends itself. Its main natural predator is the wolf, and when a pack threatens, the muskoxen do not scatter and flee. Instead, the adults form a defensive circle or line, standing shoulder to shoulder, with their horns facing outward toward the enemy, and the calves are gathered into the protected center. Presenting this wall of horns, the herd can hold off even a determined wolf pack, and individual adults may charge out to drive the attackers back. The battles between rival bulls are more violent still. In the breeding season, two great males back slowly away from one another, then charge head-on across the tundra, building to a tremendous speed before their skulls collide with a crack that echoes for kilometres. Their heavy horn bosses and reinforced skulls absorb blows that would kill almost any other animal, and they charge again and again, sometimes dozens of times over, until at last one bull can take no more and turns away. This ancient strategy has served the muskox well for tens of thousands of years. Herds roam the tundra together, digging through the snow to reach the plants beneath. shaggy, powerful and unchanged since the age of the mammoths. The muskox is a living survivor from a vanished world. Moving across the tundra in great herds, traveling further over the course of a year than almost any other land animal, is a deer superbly adapted to the frozen north. Known by two names across the top of the world, it is one of the most important animals of the Arctic land. This is the caribou, called the reindeer, across northern Europe and Asia. The caribou is a large member of the deer family, and it is uniquely suited to the Arctic. It is the only deer in which both the males and the females grow antlers, and its broad, splayed hooves work like snowshoes on the soft snow and like paddles when it needs to swim across icy rivers on its travels. Its coat is made of dense, hollow hairs that trap warmth and help it float, insulating it against the bitter cold. The caribou possesses one truly astonishing adaptation, hidden in its eyes. Uniquely among mammals, the caribou's eyes change color with the seasons. In the endless light of the Arctic summer, a layer at the back of the eye is a golden color, but in the long darkness of winter, that same layer shifts to a deep blue, an adjustment that helps the animal see better in the dim, dark months. No other mammal is known to do this. Caribou are famous wanderers, and some herds undertake enormous migrations across the tundra, following the seasons in search of food. In winter, they survive largely on lichen, a slow-growing plant they can smell beneath the snow and dig down to reach, scraping away the snow with their hooves. Speed is a matter of life and death for the caribou, for wherever they go, the wolves are never far behind. A pack will shadow a herd for days, watching for the one animal that is old, sick, or slow, before launching a chase across the open tundra that can run for kilometers. The caribou's greatest defense is the herd itself. Amid the confusion of 1,000 pounding hooves, a single animal is desperately hard to single out, and most chases end with the wolves falling back, empty and exhausted. For thousands of years, the caribou or reindeer has been central to the lives of the peoples of the Arctic, who have followed the herds and in many places herded and tamed them, depending on them for food, clothing, and survival. Hardy, far-traveling, and deeply woven into human history, the caribou is the great wanderer of the Arctic land. Gliding silently over the open tundra on broad white wings is one of the most beautiful and iconic birds of the entire Arctic. Powerful, patient, and perfectly camouflaged, it is a formidable hunter of the frozen land. This is the snowy owl. The snowy owl is a large owl, and unlike most owls which hunt under cover of darkness, it is active during the day. This makes perfect sense in the Arctic, where the summer sun never sets and where a nocturnal hunter would find no darkness to hunt in for months on end. Its dense white plumage, sometimes marked with dark flecks, provides both insulation against the cold and camouflage against the snow, and even its feet are thickly feathered for warmth. The snowy owl is closely tied to one animal above all: the lemming. In years when lemmings are abundant, the owls thrive. And a female may lay a large clutch of eggs, raising many chicks on the plentiful supply of prey. But in years when the lemmings crash, the owls may not breed at all, or may abandon an area entirely in search of food elsewhere. Their lives, like those of so many Arctic hunters, follow the rhythm of the lemming. As a hunter, the snowy owl is superbly equipped. It perches patiently, watching and listening, then launches into a silent, gliding flight, its specially structured feathers muffling the sound of its wings so that it can descend upon its prey almost without warning. It hunts lemmings and other small mammals, but it is powerful enough to take larger prey, including birds such as ptarmigan. When the owl strikes, the end comes fast and in total silence. It drops from a perch or from its hovering flight without a sound, talons swinging forward at the last instant to punch through the snow and seize a lemming before the animal ever knows it is there. And should a fox stray too near its nest, the snowy owl becomes a fury of white, plunging again and again at the intruder's head and raking with its talons until the far larger predator is driven from the tundra. Nesting directly on the ground of the open tundra, the snowy owl is a fierce defender of its young, driving off foxes and other threats with determined attacks. Beautiful, powerful, and unmistakable, the snowy owl is one of the great symbols of the Arctic wild. On the rocky coasts and islands at the edge of the Arctic, gathering in great bustling colonies through the summer, is one of the most charming and instantly recognizable seabirds in the world. Small, comical, and brilliantly colored, it has earned some affectionate nicknames. This is the Atlantic puffin. The puffin is a small seabird, and during the breeding season it is unmistakable thanks to its large, brightly colored bill, striped in orange, blue, and yellow, set against its black and white body and its clownish orange feet. This dazzling bill, however, is a seasonal decoration. After the breeding season, the puffin sheds the colorful outer plates, and its bill becomes smaller and duller through the winter, which it spends far out at sea. The puffin is a superb swimmer, and it hunts by diving beneath the waves and using its wings to fly underwater in pursuit of small fish. It has a remarkable ability to catch and hold many fish at once, carrying them crosswise in its bill, sometimes a dozen or more at a time, held in place by a special hinged structure and backward-facing spines on the roof of its mouth. Beneath the waves, the puffin becomes a swift and agile hunter, beating its wings to chase down fish through the cold water and diving to surprising depths after a meal. But its greatest danger comes as it returns to the colony. Its bill crammed with fish. Gulls and skuas lie in wait, ambushing the laden puffins in mid-air and harrying them mercilessly until they drop their hard-won catch, a daily robbery played out above every crowded cliff. This lets it gather a full load of food to carry back to its chick. On land, it nests in burrows dug into the soil of cliff tops and islands, and it returns to the same burrow and often the same partner year after year, for puffins are long-lived and faithful birds. Gathering in huge, noisy colonies to breed, the puffin is one of the great seabird spectacles of the northern coasts. Colourful, charming, and full of character, the Atlantic puffin is a beloved jewel of the Arctic edge. It is a fitting animal to end our journey across the frozen north. There are few places on Earth as beautiful, as harsh, or as important as the Arctic. A world where an entire ocean freezes solid, where the sun can shine at midnight or vanish for months, and where life has found a way to survive in one of the most extreme environments on the planet. From the great polar bear on the ice, to the ancient whales in the water, to the tiny lemming beneath the snow, every animal here is a masterpiece of survival, perfectly shaped by a world of ice and cold. But the Arctic is changing faster than almost anywhere else on the planet. It is warming several times more quickly than the world as a whole, and its sea ice is shrinking year by year. For the animals whose entire lives are built upon that ice, from the polar bear to the seal to the fox, this is the greatest challenge they have ever faced. And what happens here does not stay here, for the fate of the Arctic is tied to the climate of the whole world. And yet, there is reason for hope. These are some of the most resilient animals ever to have lived, survivors of ice ages and endless winters. And there is a growing determination around the world to protect this extraordinary place before it is too late. As long as the ice still forms each winter, and the great white bear still walks upon it, and the tern still returns each summer from the far side of the world, there will be something here worth protecting, worth treasuring, and worth returning to. Thank you for taking this journey with us. Thank you so much for watching Wild Arctic: Secrets of the Frozen North. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a new documentary. Leave a comment below and tell us which animal you found most fascinating. See you on the next journey.